Hello, 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 and welcome to the very first Open Debate live stream. So I've tried this a few times before, and it's never fully worked out. The computer has constantly lagged every single time I've tried to accomplish a live stream, and so I decided to get a new computer. Yes, finally. And so I am pleased to announce that I will now be bringing you more and more live streaming content. I felt as though hanging out and bringing the conversation into an area where we can all get together and discuss as we investigate would be a pretty interesting way to go about doing these videos. I often find myself doing a bunch of research and putting everything together and then bringing you my opinion on what is going on. But personally, I think it would be more interesting if we went through things together. And so, hello to everybody out there in the chat. If I'm pretty quiet, am I? I can turn this up a bit. Check, how's that? Have a little bit of a cold, so don't mind that, guys. It's a little chilly up here in Canada. We've had some ice storms over the past few days. But as you could probably tell from the title of the video, I'm going to be researching the Jussie Smollett hate crime story that's been going around in the news. I honestly haven't actually, I actually have not really looked into this story at all. I've heard things about it. I have listened to what Tim Pool's had to say on the situation a little bit, but other than that, I have not really seen too much. So far, from what I know, he alleges that he was attacked in Chicago on a chilly night, and two people yelled racial slurs at him, apparently, and tied what he considered a noose around his neck, which ended up being a clothesline, apparently. I'm just giving you the information that I have going into this with. And a lot of news outlets right off the bat I saw saying that this was an obvious hate crime, that this was terrible, and that he was assaulted. They did use the term allegedly, though. And slowly, as less and less evidence has come forth, there have been a lot of claims that this is a potential hoax. And I honestly I have no idea what's going on right now because I haven't looked into it at all. So I'm just going to pull up a couple articles, I guess, just to start off. And they're going to be from all over the place. If you have any suggestions of things that you would like to see or would like me to research for the video, feel free to drop a line in the comment section down there. But yeah, so I'll pull up an article here, and we'll just start with this. Obviously,
the two shadowy figures wanted for questioning in the assault of Empire actor Jussie Smollett have been tracked down by police. Through a meticulous investigation, detectives have identified the persons of interest in the area of the alleged attack, a Chicago police spokesman said. The men were located by advanced technology, interviews with the victim and witnesses, and transportation records, cops said. The two men spotted on surveillance.
I got it. Don't worry. I got it. That happens. That's what'll happen in your very first live stream. Okay, so this article, as you can see, it's from GQ, South Africa. Controversial in itself, I know, but title: The racist homophobic attack on Jussie Smollett is far-right America's endgame. Alright, so what do they mean by that? When most famous black and gay men in America is not safe, the message is clearer than it has ever been. Okay, let's get into this. Early Tuesday morning, Jussie Smollett, the 36-year-old star of Fox's Empire, left a Chicago restaurant and was reportedly accosted by two men who proceeded to shout racial and homophobic slurs before beating him, pouring an unknown chemical substance on him, and wrapping a rope around his neck before fleeing the scene, according to a statement issued by Chicago police. The incident is being investigated as a possible hate crime. So this was written on January 30th, as you can see there. The cautious wording is one last wound inflicted on Smollett's battered body, a careful hedging of bets that don't need hedging. A crime scene involving a corpse is not discussed as a possible death, but the stodgy apparatus of law enforcement isn't particularly interested in acknowledging social ills, and neither is the news media when it goose steps around the truth of the matter with shallow euphemistic racially charged used to describe open proud bigotry. So I think what they're trying to say there is that by saying that this is an alleged crime or an alleged hate crime and not just coming out and full out condemning the actions, even though there needs to be evidence brought forth before you can fully interpret what has happened in any sort of situation. They're saying that that is like bigotry in itself. Okay. Let's read a bit more. Whiteness in the 21st century America has an endgame, and it is this. What the fuck? To divest itself from the shame of its power, while working to revive the fear it needs in which to thrive. And there is work being done. Work done by panels of respectable seeming men and women on cable news networks, dismissing the red MAGA hat as innocuous. Work done by politicians who continue. I can't even read tonight, guys. Done by politicians who continue to openly lie about the danger immigrants pose to Americans while choosing to ignore that almost all violent extremist crime is committed by right-wing terrorists, by the refusal to acknowledge that bigotry is alive and well, perpetuated by racists and homophobes targeting people like Smollett. Criminals have no qualms in sharing what motivates them. Hate needs to sign its work. That's how hate persists. So I don't disagree that there's a lot of hate and there's still racism and homophobia within the United States and within the Western world in general. But there have been so many incidences where people were so quick to draw the gun, and not even just taking into account this whole Covington situation. With this happening instantly after that, people are clearly going to be skeptical because the media just blatantly lied to our faces. It was one of those things that got you thinking, even if whether you were on the right or the left. Excuse me. It gets you thinking about what are the motivations behind mainstream news organizations. Do they actually care about reporting the facts, getting you the information that they feel as though is proper or correct, or do they care about jumping on a story that is going to be sensationalized and that they know will draw attention? So there's been a lot more information since this came out. Like I said, it was just on the January 30th. And so I'm just gonna bring this up, everybody's favorite news site, CNN, and I guess it's gonna be an overview of just everything that they know so far, and starts off saying that Jussie Smollett case, everything we know so far. There's a little video at the top, so I'll play that for you now. We'll see what they have to say.
And I see the attacker masked, and he said, "This MAGA country punches me right in the face." So I punched his back. I noticed the rope around my neck, and I started screaming. And I said, "There's a rope around my neck."
Listen, mama, so many words to describe you. Strong would be an understatement. Warrior would suit you.
All right, yeah, you get that. So, yeah, so that makes sense. That's what they're doing there. I'll turn that down a little bit for you. Okay, so that pretty much just said all the same stuff that we saw in the last article, except he said that he punched the guy back. And a couple more quotes from him actually speaking. But so let's see what CNN has to say. What happened? Chicago police confirmed they were investigating a possible hate crime against Smollett. This was, by the way, this was just it's released today or yesterday? Yesterday. What happened? Chicago police confirmed they were investigating a possible hate crime against Smollett. They said that in the early morning of January 29th, he was attacked by two people who were yelling out racial and homophobic slurs and poured an unknown chemical substance on the victim in the Streeterville neighborhood. Okay, we just read that. Smollett took himself to the Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where he had a friend speak with CNN's Don Lemon and confirm the incident that had happened. Well, that's my first indication of what's happening, but obviously I feel like something must have happened, or obviously something happened this evening, and that's what we're gonna find out, I guess. All right, guys. He identifies as gay, and since 2015 has portrayed the gay character of Jamal, a successful singer in the musical I cannot speak for anything, but I'm here hanging out with you guys, okay? So that's what I'm going with. That's what I got up. That's the hand I got up, okay? Come hang out. It was you? You're gay? Cool. He identifies as gay, and since 2015 has portrayed the gay character of Jamal, a successful singer in the musical Lion Family, on his show. 20th Century Fox Television and Fox Entertainment offered their support after the reported attack. See, this is what the other article is talking about. When they say reported attack, they feel as though that's an attack on the victim. But until all evidence is brought forth and charges have been laid against an actual assailant, then you need to be saying alleged. Okay, there's a quote there. Hollywood and fans rallied. More details start to emerge. That's what I want to see. So I want to see where we're at right now. Chicago police spokesman Anthony Guglielmi told CNN authorities had video of Smollett entering the Lowe's Chicago after the alleged attack, with what appeared to be a noose around his neck. According to G, Smollett told detectives during his walk back from Subway sandwiches, he was attacked by two Subway sandwiches. Who says that? On his walk back from Subway sandwiches, he was attacked by two men near the lower entrance of Lowe's. The actor told police the two men yelled Empire Explicit and Empire Explicit while striking him, before putting a noose around his neck and pouring an unknown substance on him. Once again, the same thing. Police were called 30 to 40 minutes after the attack took place, Guglielmi said. See, and that's something that I also heard people talking about, the fact that they took them 30 to 40 minutes before they called the police, which is a strange thing. You never know what's going on in somebody's head during a time of distress. So, investigators said they had both the rope and Smollett's sweater in their custody and were testing for the unknown substance on them. We also learned that Smollett and his manager Brandon Moore said they were speaking on the phone at the time of his attack. Okay, who's of interest? A day after the incident, Guglielmi tweeted that tweeted that investigators had located a surveillance camera that showed 2 people wanted for questioning. Police released an image of 2 individuals walking down a sidewalk. Their faces were not visible. Police told CNN they had not yet found still images or video of the actual incident. His family responds, Smollett is a member of a large family that includes several siblings who are also in the industry. The family released a statement standing with the Empire actor and thanking everyone for their support, what they called an act of domestic terrorism. Jesse told the police everything from the very beginning, the statement said. His story has never changed, and we are hopeful they will find these men and bring them to justice. I haven't seen anything in this report here. I have heard reports of people saying that TMZ was the first outlet to report that there were racial slurs being said, and yeah, no, racial slurs being said and homophobic things being said, and then after that news article came out, the police had prompted him for a second interview, and that's when he had told them that was what was going on. But I don't see any of that here, so CNN hasn't confirmed that. But of course, I didn't follow this story from the beginning when all the news articles were coming out, so obviously things have been redacted or taken back at this point. And mainstream news articles don't often like to, mainstream news outlets don't often like to admit that they are wrong when they are wrong. And therefore, I really don't feel as though I would see a correction being made here. Okay, so Smollett breaks the silence. The actor thanked his supporters the Friday after the attack and said he was okay. In a written statement first published by Essence magazine, Smollett said, "My body is strong, but my soul is stronger, and I'm working with the authorities, and I've been 100% factual and consistent on every level," Smollett wrote. "Despite my frustrations and deep concerns with certain inaccuracies and misinterpretations that have been spread, I still believe that justice will be served." Okay, these are probably quotes from him, because I know that he gave an interview, and I'm going to play that in a little bit, because I have it queued up there. But, so that's what CNN's saying. They really didn't give much more information either. Oh, okay, there we go. Suspect arrested. Guess you just got to keep reading. I got a bunch more articles that I was going to pull up, but, you know. Suspects arrested. On Friday, police announced that the persons of interest had been arrested. Earlier Friday, police spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said the 2 Nigerian brothers were being treated as potential suspects and that the detectives had probable cause that they may have been involved in an alleged crime. Police did not say precisely what the brothers were accused of or what the alleged crime might have been. So that opens up a whole new door of questions. So now that these are 2 Nigerian brothers, it's no longer a hate crime. It's just an alleged crime. That's going to be interesting to see how people react to this. Because that's very strange. It's very strange that 2 Nigerian brothers would... I'm not too sure about the cultural differences when it comes to homosexuality, but I don't think that Nigerians hold a strong appreciation for MAGA country. That's kind of out of the narrative. That's the whole thing. It's a little strange. Doesn't fit the narrative that's been going around. You'd expect this to be, oh, it's going to be two white guys, obviously, because who else has patriotism? But it's true that it could be two Nigerian Americans who also happen to be homophobic, that are very patriotic. That could be the case. We really don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. That makes me really want to. I just want to see what he actually had to say. So I'm gonna pull up this interview. I think this was probably a little while back now. Turn down the music.
Roberts in New York. Musician and actor Jussie Smollett sat down with me for his first interview since that night in Chicago. Smollett told me how he's doing.
This was
now
also published.
This
was also published yesterday. So this is, I guess, where we're at. This is where things are. So I'm gonna keep researching stuff. And like I said, if you have anything that you would like me to check out, drop a line in the comments below, and I'll make sure to pull it up and check it out.
To those who doubt his account.
I'm pissed off.
What is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks. It's like, you know, at first it was a thing of like, listen, if I tell the truth, then that's it, because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth. And then it became a thing of like, oh, it's not necessarily that you don't believe that this is the truth. You don't even want to see the truth.
What happened that night, Jussie?
When I landed in Chicago, and Frank Gatson, who's like my uncle, and he's also my creative director, and he picked me up. And then we got back to the apartment. There was no food. And so I went out to Walgreens thinking that they were 24 hours and to have a smoke. Walgreens was closed. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'm gonna run to Subway, which was across the street, and I'm gonna get a salad. Do you want anything? I went to the Subway and got the order. During that time, I texted my manager thinking that he was still in Australia because he was on an Australian tour with one of his other clients. Mm-hmm. And I said, yo, call me when you can. He called me immediately. And while he was on the phone, I heard, as I was crossing the intersection, I heard Empire. And I don't answer to Empire. My name ain't Empire. And I didn't answer. I kept walking, and then I heard Empire. So I turned around and I said, did you just say to me? And I see the attacker, Matt.
Yeah, see, like, that sounds bad. That sounds like something that could potentially happen to somebody if they didn't know who you were. They recognized that you were from that show, and they were just like, and they were trying to harass you, and they were like, hey, you, Empire, and you didn't answer. And then they used the derogatory slurs to get your attention because they know that that's the character that you play on Empire. Okay, it's logical.
Asked, and he said, hacker, did you just say to me? And I see the attacker masked, and he said, this MAGA country punches me right in the face. So I punched his ass back. And then we started tussling. You know, it was very icy.
I'll tell you one thing, though, right now. If he said it the same way this guy said it, I'd be like, okay, well, this guy's probably fucking black. Like, this MAGA country, nigga. Like, I've never heard a white guy attack somebody like that or even use the N-word that well. It's usually misplaced out of, it doesn't sound proper. If it was the way he just described, my first instinct would be like, who are these black guys beating me up? Personally.
And we ended up tussling by the stairs. Fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back. And then it just stopped. And they ran off. And I saw where they ran. And the phone was in my pocket, but it had fallen out. And it was sitting there. And my manager was still on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I said, Brandon. And he's like, what's going on? And I said, I was just jumped. And then I looked down and I see that there's a rope around my neck, which I hadn't.
You hadn't noticed it before?
No,
you didn't
because
see?
It was so fast. You know what I'm saying? It was so fast.
How long did this all...
I definitely think that I would notice somebody putting a rope around my neck, especially if it was just one guy. I was fighting with them and someone was kicking me in the back. Like, I know I haven't been in a million fights in my life, but I've definitely been in a few tussles, and you're aware of what's going on around you. Yeah, you are less aware of your surroundings than you would be if you were not in that situation, but you still would know what, like, you would have an idea, I feel.
It felt like minutes, but it probably was like 30 seconds, honestly. I can't tell you honestly. I noticed the rope around my neck and I started screaming. And I said, there's a rope around my neck.
Did you get any kind of description of the attacker?
I gave a body description and I, because I saw this, right here or whatever, but I didn't see, I can't tell you what color their eyes were. I can't tell you. And I did not see anything except the second person I saw running away. And the first person, I saw his stature. I gave the description as best as I could. You have to understand also that it's Chicago in winter. People can wear ski masks and nobody's gonna question that.
The police have gone through a lot of video and they were able to capture an image of two people of interest. Have you seen that image? And do you believe that they could possibly be the attackers?
I do.
What is it about their size, or why do you feel that they could possibly be?
Because I was there. For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them.
Okay, wait. I gotta go back. Wait, what?
Call the police. They could possibly be.
Because I was there.
What did he just literally say? That is blowing my mind. I ruined it for everybody, guys. I guess my computer doesn't want to load this, or what? Like,
I'm Robin Roberts in New York. Musician and actor Jussie Smollett. Police have gone through a lot of video and they were able to capture an image of two people of interest. Have you seen that image? And do you believe that they could possibly be the attackers?
I do.
Just a couple of rednecks walking down the road.
What is it about their size, or why do you feel that they could possibly be?
Because I was there. For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them. Never did.
Why did you hesitate to want to call the police?
There's a level of pride there. We live in a society where, as a gay man, you are considered somehow to be weak. And I'm not weak. I am not weak. And we are, as a people, are not weak. So, I can accept that there was pride there. There's also privacy. At the end of the day, look what has happened. Look what has happened. So, I'm glad that Frank called the police. I'm glad that we reported it. During that time before they came, it took them about maybe half hour to come. And during that time, I was looking at myself, just like checking myself out. I saw the bruise on my neck, like the little, the rope burn around my.
See, there's definitely like a little rope burn around his neck there, and he looks like his face is all bruised and beaten up. And at this point, like, I never saw those pictures. I hadn't seen anything like that. I hadn't seen any of this sort of evidence. You can always inflict this type, like, it's not like he's badly beaten up, and like there's a little bit of red around him, and he's got a couple cuts on him. You can inflict this type of pain on yourself if you really wanted to. Like, look at, like you just said, look at everything that has come from this story. If you really wanted to make a social impact that bad, are a couple of scrapes and bruises on your face really, is it not worth it to make a huge social impact if you feel as though you're making the right decision or doing it in a just manner? But no, and I'm not promoting that. I'm just throwing that out as an idea as to what could potentially have been the situation. But also, regardless, like, there's no racial, like, no racism in this at all or anything, but judging by the way that he described the two men speaking to him, and then seeing the images of the two men, or the image of the two men, they don't appear to be white. Like, they don't, like, so it's not racism to point out the fact that in general different races have certain characteristics or demeanors, I guess, like on a very wide spectrum. You could, I don't know, but the thing is that the narrative that was being promoted this entire time was that these were clearly white people who were engaging in a hate crime based on his race and sexuality. And just judging by just that last and little sentence in the CNN article where they described it as an alleged crime, does that not, like, that should probably outrage people in the LGBT community? Does that not outline that I guess you can beat somebody up for being gay and it's not a hate crime as long as you're still the same race as they are? Does that make any sense? It should still be considered a hate crime whether they were black or not. And that's why this is so interesting, because two black men beating up another black man for being gay isn't a good narrative for the mainstream media to spin. Especially not as good of a narrative as two white men beat up a black man for being black and gay, or a gay black man for being gay and black, or whatever. Like, the narratives that the media spin are not always never 100% truthful, and should really keep you guessing about the truth of stories, keep you interested into researching further for yourself. As it stands right now, I still have absolutely no idea what's going on with this. He seemed to, that evening he got hurt, for sure.
My neck, and then I smelled bleach. I know the smell of bleach. And I saw on my sweatshirt, it had marks on it, like spots on it, when you have a bad bleach job. So then I was like, there's bleach on me too. So when the police came, I kept the clothes on. I kept the rope.
So you had the rope on the entire time?
I mean, it wasn't like wrapped around, but yeah, it was around because I wanted them to see. I wanted them to see what this was. I told them what happened, everything. I also asked them to turn their body cams off because they were trying to stay in the hallway. And I was like, please just come in. Like, I don't want a big scene with my neighbors and with like the second round of police officers. I went down to where it happened and I walked them through exactly what happened. And I looked up and I saw that there was a camera directly on the light post that is in the intersection. So I'm like, there it is.
A potential break in the case that would eventually fall apart days later.
And then the detective told me that the camera inside of the casing was facing north, so they didn't have it. And that was disappointing.
The vast majority of people have been supportive and loving and understanding. And then as time has gone on, and that there's no, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to Subway, Sub-Zero.
Subway is open 24 hours. Like, people kill me when they say things like that, because it's like Subway is open 24 hours for a reason. So that when you're hungry at night and you ain't got no food, you go to Subway.
Ain't got no food. This guy fucking, he's goddamn, an actor on Empire. This guy is eating Subway at 2 a.m. If nothing else, puts into perspective, your life ain't that bad, guys. But yeah, that gave me a chuckle.
The camera facing north, how is that my issue? It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like
well, right
the
there
would have supported me a lot much more.
Well, right fucking there, right? It's because you fed into this narrative of, oh, every white person in America is all of a sudden this dirty white supremacist that fucking just wants to, apologies for the swearing, but that really wants to just tear down black people and ruin every immigrant and all forms of oppressed individual. White people can be oppressed. It doesn't matter who you are. That's the whole point. The whole point is that, yes, if he had have not fed into a narrative and just said the facts about, it's the whole mega country thing, I guess. It's not him. It's really, I don't know what he did and what he said. I can't say that it's what he did or what he said. It's the way that the media spun the narrative. And therefore, the way that the media tried to display what was happening caused an outrage in people to backlash against his story. So, I do personally think that that is a big issue. Like you just said, if he had have outright said that it was a black person, a Muslim person, or an immigrant of some sense that wasn't from America, or if he had have just kept it vague and said that these were two people, and not, I just can't blame it on him because I haven't read his actual statement. I don't have his police statement. I'm sure that you could find it, but I just haven't pulled it up. Let me know in the chat if you want me to actually pull that up, and if you've seen it, and let me know what he said.
A lot more. And that says a lot about the place that we are in our country right now. The fact that we have these fear mongrels, these people that are trying to separate us, and it's just not okay. Mm-hmm. It's just not okay.
And that's him right there, feeding into that narrative himself, saying that you're a fearmonger if you, like, I don't know what he thinks. I don't know if he thinks that people would have agreed with him more if he had have said that it was a black person or a Muslim person because they don't like black people or they don't like Muslim people, or if because the story would have added up more, not necessarily perhaps a Muslim person, but within the neighborhood that he was in. I at 2 o'clock down, I'm saying downtown, I'm not exactly sure the area. Chicago could be racially diverse, but I'm not 100% sure. But even white people that live in a predominantly black neighborhood, or even just a racially diverse neighborhood, I don't think would be open white supremacists, or if they are, they definitely wouldn't be open. It's just an interesting story. It seems like such an outlier, like that's such a weird situation. There are definitely racists in today's day and age. There are definitely bigots. There are definitely homophobes, people who don't like pretty much anybody. There are people that you could find that just don't like anything. People that don't like dogs, okay? But I don't see many proud racists or proud bigots or proud homophobes. I don't see many people out there spouting off terrible things and having a large following of people that are like, yes, what you're doing and what you're saying is okay. In general, in society, people accept others' ideas, and I think that this is more of an ideology of the right wing the right-wing individual. I haven't delved in too much into the mind of the left-wing I don't know, person. I don't really adhere to either political party. I just like to look into what people believe, and giving people the opportunity to express themselves, and as long as they aren't interfering with your life, seems to be pretty well common sense. Like, even if somebody says that they don't agree with gay marriage, you see, even if they don't agree with gay marriage, I can almost 100% guarantee, I will guarantee you 98%, 99%, right up there, that they believe that gay people do deserve to have the same human rights as everybody else. There aren't many people, like, people may disagree on minor issues, but overall, we all think that we're human beings and individuals. Like, people get way too serious, but there are the few that aren't and don't feel that way. But let's keep watching this interview. It's actually pretty long. I didn't think it was going to be this long when I first put it up, but it is. We're watching it.
For all of the people, the next time that you see someone report something, maybe well after the fact that it happened, and you say to them, well, why you wait until now? Just remember that mine was reported right away. And look what has happened.
The phone.
Mm-hmm.
When did you, because as you said, it was an accurate account of the timeline, valuable information. When did you make that information available to the police?
We had to give the phone records, which they didn't originally ask for my phone records. They asked for my phone. They wanted me to give my phone to the tech for 3 to 4 hours.
It's called a police investigation. They would rather have your phone so that the technician could just go through it and get the information that they needed, rather than continuously ask you for the information that they wanted from your phone. It's an inconvenience, but that's the type of thing that happens when you file a police report against, like, when you're filing charges against or trying to find somebody who fucking... I hope you understand what I mean, guys. I understand that it's an inconvenience, and see, yeah, that's it's definitely an invasion of your privacy, and you have the right not to give it up. And if I was him, I wouldn't have given it up either. So I definitely understand where he's coming from. But to just be outraged about the fact that they want it, that's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand about certain individuals. And when I was younger, I used to have that kind of mindset where it's like I would be upset and I'd be pissed off and I'd be saying, "Oh, I can't believe that the police want to take my phone and they want to just take it from me, and like they aren't even like asking me for the information. They just want my phone." But the thing is that they're trying to get the investigation done as quick as possible in order to solve the crime. They aren't looking for your convenience. Sometimes you're inconvenienced when life's tough, life's bad, life's hard, and life sucks. But I understand why they're trying to inconvenience you, but I also understand that I have the right to my privacy, and I have the right to... I guess you don't necessarily have the right to not be inconvened, but you have the right to your privacy, and so therefore you don't need to give them your phone. But I would definitely comply with what they're asking, especially when they're in conducting an investigation that's helping you to find somebody who assaulted you. Let me know your thoughts, guys.
I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna do that.
Why?
Because I have private pictures and videos and numbers, my partner's number, my family's number, my castmates' number, my friends' numbers, my private emails, my private songs, my private voice memos. I don't know what that's going to be to hand over my phone for And honestly, by then, inaccurate, false statements had already been put out there.
Earlier this week, he submitted phone records from within an hour of the incident. But Chicago police said they were limited and heavily redacted, adding they need additional information to corroborate the investigative timeline. His attorneys tell us they are willing to cooperate. Smollett also says he has been troubled by inaccurate claims. What other ones had you heard that were inaccurate?
That I had said that they were wearing MAGA hats. I never said that. I didn't need to add anything like that. They called me a They called me a There's no which way you cut it. I don't need some MAGA hat as the cherry on top of some racist sundae.
So then what's the actual story then? That's the question I have. That's the actual that's the tea right there, okay? Like, what is this? What is that? So what was his original story? Did he say that they yelled, "This is MAGA country," and were wearing MAGA hats? I never even heard that they were wearing MAGA hats. Or did they just call him racial slurs and homophobic slurs? Because if that's the case, then this is it's still a clear indication of what would be considered a hate crime, a crime committed based on discrimination against someone's race or gender or sexuality. But the way that the media portrayed this story, like I said, I haven't even researched this. I haven't looked it up. It's through hearsay from little headlines that I've seen just through Facebook, and I haven't looked into this story yet. And from everything that I've seen, it's been promoted as a racist, this is like that was not the quote. This is the face of America, but this is they were Trump supporters, that they were yelling, "This is MAGA country," that the right's gonna be devastated by this. This is a clear indication of how they operate. All this crazy stuff, and so I'm interested because, like I said, the disdain or the anger should not be directed towards him. If his original story didn't include him portraying these individuals as wearing MAGA hats or yelling, "This is MAGA country," if he just described it as a homosexual slurs or homophobic slurs and racial slurs, and then the news organization decided, hey, you know what would make this story a lot juicier? If we also said they were wearing MAGA hats, because who's today's boogeyman? Donald Trump and all of his supporters. Yeah, that leaves me with a lot more questions. I think that I might actually try to find his original police transcript and pull it up.
I've heard that it was a date gone bad, which I so resent that narrative. I'm not gonna go out and get a tuna sandwich at a salad to meet somebody. That's ridiculous, and it's offensive. Yes, there's Grindr, yes, there's Jack'd, yes, there's all of these things, which I have not been on in years. I can admit that I was on that back in the day. I was single, you know what I'm saying? But I have not been on that in years. But aside from that, it's offensive. And I absolutely resent that narrative because it's bull. It's bull. And it's unfair. It's unfair to the investigation. It's unfair to, I hate this word, but it's unfair to the victim.
What were your injuries? What were
they did x-rays. I didn't have, it was reported that I had fractured ribs or cracked ribs or something like that. That wasn't true. I was just in a lot of pain.
Let me know if you guys can find that police report, that original Jussie Smollett, his police report. I'd love to actually see what he reported to the police. I'm not sure if it actually is online. I'm not a deep diving hardcore investigator, but that's why we're here together, because with the power of the internet we can do anything.
You know, my clavicle was messed up, my rib was bruised, but nothing was cracked. I walked into the hospital. I walked out of the hospital.
Why do you think you were targeted?
I can just assume, I mean, I come really, really hard against 45. I come really, really hard against his administration. And I don't hold my tongue.
I want to ask you about Jussie Smollett.
I think that's horrible. It doesn't get worse, as far as I'm concerned.
Were you aware that he made that statement?
I saw it. I don't know what to say to that. You know? I appreciate him not brushing over it.
And there is no doubt in your mind what motivated this attack.
I could only go off of their words. I mean, who says empire, this MAGA country, ties a...
Okay, well, like he's I don't even give a shit. Like, oh, I do care about like potentially what happened in the entire story, but he just confirmed right there. Excuse me, guys. He just confirmed right there exactly what I've been talking about for the past 10 minutes. That was it him in his... I don't even need the original police statement is what I meant by I don't even care. He has been... I was wondering for the past 10 minutes, has he been perpetuating this this stereotype of... This, like I said, was released yesterday. Has he been perpetuating the idea that these individuals were... The word Trump supporter is synonymous with a white individual, but that's not necessarily the case. But where I'm coming from is the outsider perspective, somebody who isn't even here on YouTube with us, somebody who just sees headlines and just sees Facebook accounts and what other people repost. And the idea of a Trump supporter is definitely, when you hear that word, it sparks the idea of a white person in your head. And I'd wondered this entire time, has he been perpetuating the idea that this was not just racially and sexually motivated, or like motivated based on his sexuality, but it was also politically motivated because these individuals were Trump supporters and they didn't like he just said, how outspoken he is about Trump. Which I didn't know. I don't really follow actors or anything. I haven't seen him being outspoken about Trump. I haven't seen him being like, he's no Childish Gambino, you know? But, okay, let's see. I hear a lot of people in the chat saying fake news, that this guy's like, this whole thing is like a psyop. Not a psyop, but, this whole thing is like this guy creating a false narrative in order to creating a false narrative in order to reinforce a narrative that isn't being enforced, that the media has been sensationalizing. And so the idea that America is very racist and that it's super divided and that the left and the right could never get along even if they tried, and that the right, especially that the right hates gay people, homosexuals, that they hate black people, that they hate immigrants, that they hate Muslims, that they hate every religion that is not Christianity, that they are not into people expressing themselves in any way. And like, honestly, like, you feel as though there wouldn't be a shortage of news stories. There would literally be stories every day. If people act as though we're living in a time where black people are being lynched in the streets, like it's like literally back in the day, like what people try to bring this shit up. You've seen the pictures. We all seen the pictures. They get thrown around all the time. And in all honesty, if that sort of thing was happening, there are enough cameras around. There are enough, like, social media is a thing. Even if you lived in a rural country, I'm sure there would be one person that would film it with their phone that, like, secretly didn't like what was happening. They're like, oh, they're rounding up all the black people and hanging them in trees in this back southern country, you know? And it's like, that shit, holy fuck. Things are bad, you know? There's racism, there's homophobia, there's bigotry. But you don't need to make up a story in order to find it, and you don't need to over-exaggerate things that aren't necessarily in that context, because when you do find something, it's the classic story, the boy who cried wolf. Hey, Big Water 59, thank you, brother. Good old super chat there. Man, I'm gonna tell you though, anybody out in the chat, if you're gonna like donate through Super Chat, go hit that link into the Streamlabs and like, buddy, you just donated $2. You could have thrown something up and said something on screen, bro. Brah. Join the conversation. Hang out. At text to speech, $1. So you can say stuff, join into the conversation. I actually would really love to hear what you guys have to say. Cone's sleeping. She's dreaming over there on the bed. Okay, so this has got me just a little bit heated and a little bit baffled by just his last statements there. Through the whole thing, he was pretty good with his words, but it appears that he is perpetuating the narrative that these were Trump supporters who attacked him, and it was based off of political as well as homophobic and racial motives. But as soon as the that's interesting. As soon as the political motives went away, the whole narrative left, and that should really help you understand the drive of mainstream media, because if they don't have a political motive, then there isn't as much to sensationalize. But the left and the right really aren't as different as they think they are. Nobody's as different as they think they are. People are creatures of habit. We all, especially anybody who lives in Western society, I've said this before, and I'll probably make like an entire video on this one day, but in general, I'd say that not every single person, but the majority of people, I'll go with percentages for you, okay? Throwing this out of the air. 92% of people in Western society all want the exact same goals. We just have different ideas of how to get them. And that's where the problems arise. Like, nobody wants to see, this is a terrible thing to just break out. Nobody wants to see dead babies. Nobody wants babies to die. But there's people who are arguing pro-life, pro-choice. They're not arguing over the advocation of the death of babies or to stop the death of babies. No, they're arguing over when is conception, like when does life begin, right? That's the actual argument. They're not really arguing anything else. They have a disagreement over when they believe that child becomes a child, and that's the root cause of the issue. And when they can figure that out, they can start working towards fixing the problem. But until you figure out the root cause of the problem, you can't fix it. So keep in mind, guys, we all want the same end goal. Let's keep watching this.
Noose around your neck and pours bleach on you. And this is just a friendly fight. I will never be the man that this did not happen to. I am forever changed. And I don't subscribe to the idea that everything happens for a reason, but I do subscribe to the idea that we have the right and the responsibility to make something meaningful out of the things that happen to us, good and bad.
What do you feel people need to hear the most from this story?
I think that what people need to hear is just the truth. It's just the truth, because everybody has their own idea. Some are healing and some are hurtful. But I just want young people, young members of the LGBTQ community, young Black children to know how strong that they are, to know the power that they hold in their little pinky.
It's been 2 weeks since that night left actor Jussie Smollett bruised but not broken, and he's still processing the raw emotions. Have you ever been threatened before?
Yeah. I get threatened all the time on Twitter and Instagram and DMs and things like that. It's like, but, I'm a public figure. I'm very outspoken. Sometimes maybe too outspoken, but it's who I am, so I get the idea of pissing people off, that you're gonna rub people the wrong way.
In fact, the week before the attack, police confirm a letter was sent to the Fox studio in Chicago with threatening language and laced with powdery substance, likely Tylenol. Do you think there's a link between the letter and the attack? And you did mention it to the police right away about the letter.
Absolutely. Just because on the letter it had a stick figure hanging from a tree with a gun pointing towards it, with the words that said, "Smollett Jussie, you will die black." There was no address, but the return address said in big red, like caps, MAGA. Did I make that up too?
And despite lack of video surveillance footage,
I don't think that he made that up. I don't think that whoever sent that was very was that a child that sent that? Was that like a little thing, like a kid sent? That wasn't scary or nothing. It wasn't scary or nothing. Like, that was weird. Like, that was like it almost looked like it looked fake. Not that he made it up, but it looked like somebody that was like, yeah, this is gonna be real scary. I'm gonna send this to this guy and he's gonna be like, oh my gosh. And who knows, like, perhaps that was the first attempt at I'm a conspiratorial guy. I'm open to the idea of saying that this is potentially, allegedly, not just a hoax, but we'll call it a plan, a scheme to infiltrate American culture and sway the public in a certain direction. Influence the media, or influence the mass population of individuals into believing that Americans are more racist and more divided than they really are. Because I think that if you were to actually just go up to somebody who you felt as though you disagreed with and said, hey, I don't believe this, or I don't believe in this, I don't agree with this, what are your thoughts on it? Let's have a discussion. That's what makes Western society in general great. The fact that you can do that and then walk away at the end with no fear of dying.
Smollett hopes to rewrite...
Sorry, I was about to say, no fear of dying, but in today's day and age, things are becoming, through the media, what seems to be so diverse politically, like so split down the middle, that there's no middle ground. There is no room for discussion, and those conversations that used to be had, that would end in disagreement, where in the end it's okay, I just don't believe what you believe and you don't believe what I believe. That's okay. That we all can't believe the same thing on the small details, but we both agree that physically attacking individuals, not a good thing. We both agree that smashing someone in the head with a bike lock, I know, old meme, but that's not okay. And it seems as though in today's day and age, not everybody has that idea. If you don't believe the same political ideology as certain individuals, I do feel as though there are a lot of people who feel as though they have the right to physically harm you because they personally believe that your ideology will potentially cause physical harm to them in the future. And therefore they feel justified in physically harming you now. And that's leading to something that is not good, guys. Not good at all. But let's keep this thing going. It's almost done. Then we're going to check out a couple more articles. Probably one more final video that's not nearly as long as this. And keep investigating, guys. Let's check some stuff out.
The narrative about that night, saying he fought back against his attackers and reported the incident after his creative director called 911.
He's supposed to be well-known requesting a report, and so the noose was placed over the friend's neck.
I want that video found so badly because for probably 4 reasons. Number 1, I want them to find the people that did it. Number 2, I want them to stop being able to say alleged attack. Number 3, I want them to see that I fought back. And I want a little gay boy who might watch this to see that I fought back. And it does not take anything away from people that are not able to do that. But I fought back. They ran off. I didn't.
What do you say?
I'm going to say this right now. Personally, I don't think that gay people on I don't know about on average. I don't think that gay people, just like in general, are weak or can't defend themselves. If I saw this guy on the street, there's no reason why I don't think that he would be like strong and capable of defending himself. Somebody who's gay and very effeminate and very like whimsical, very like flamboyant, they are not going to defend themselves in the same way. They should feel confident in themselves and should feel as though if they had to defend themselves, they should have ways to defend themselves. But that's not who those people are. And I think that it's weird. I think that like lots of stereotypes and things like that is though like he may have a mindset where he thinks there's like they should break the gay stereotype and things like that. There shouldn't be a stereotype for gays. It's like, yeah, you could be a gay person and be strong, or you could be a gay person and be weak. Like gay people shouldn't, as a young gay boy, you shouldn't need a gay guy to beat somebody up for you to feel as though you're capable of doing that. You should be able just to look up to people in general. It doesn't matter whether they're gay, straight, white, black, purple, green, yellow. Intersectionality, guys, it's not a good thing. We should just love each other for who we are. Look up to people because they're good people, and we want to aspire to be like them. Not because they're a certain race, gender, sexuality, anything like that. If they inspire you, that's the main thing.
To a young gay man, a young gay person.
To learn to fight. And I don't just mean like learn to fight. I mean, learn to fight. Learn to be a fighter. I am not advocating violence at all. So let's be clear about that. If you're gonna die, fight until you do. Because if you don't fight, you have no chance. I have fought for love. I'm an advocate.
What the fuck did that mean? I agree with what he said there. If you're gonna die, fight until you die. Because if you don't, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You're just gonna roll over and die. But he says, I'm not advocating violence. And then the next scene, I have fought for love. All right, guys, back into it.
I respect too much the people who I am now one of those people who have been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
If the attackers are never found, how will you be able to heal?
I don't know. Let's just hope that they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not go there yet. Let's, I was talking to a friend, and I said, I just want them to find them. And she said, sweetie, they're not gonna find them. And that just made me so angry, because, so I'm just gonna be left here with this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just gonna be left here with like, so they get to go free?
It's an interesting question, and that's like kind of where, that's kind of where you get movies like different movies and stuff, but it's like, and it's strange how we have that mindset where it's he feels as though the police owe him the service of bringing those individuals to justice, but if they can't find him, they can't do it. If somebody else can't do it, and it's weighing on you that bad, then maybe that's his next big role is, playing the guy who finds these individuals who attacked him and then bringing them to justice. And by that I mean bring them to the police and letting the police do their due diligence.
And go about their life and possibly attack someone else, and I'm here to left with the aftermath of this bull. That's not cool to me. That's not okay. So I understand how difficult it will be to find them, but we gotta. I still want to believe, with everything that has happened, that there's something called justice. Because if I stop believing that, then what's it all for?
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bam. Look at that. All right, so that was interesting. Left us with a lot of, like I said, probably Probably more questions than answers. And that was just uploaded yesterday. Like, that was, you know, news cycles fast. During that video, somebody had brought this up to check out the dudes. And the old Breitbart article up here now. Meet Ola and Abel, the Nigerian bodybuilders arrested in Jussie Smollett case. So, Breitbart, take it as you will. CNN, take it as you will, you know. So, the identities of two brothers connected in an investigation into the alleged attack on Empire actor Jussie Smollett were revealed Friday. The two actors are named Abimbola, Abel, and Ola. Okay, fuck that shit, eh? The two actors are named Abel and Ola and hail from Nigeria, according to the Daily Mail. On Wednesday, the pair were arrested by Chicago police officers at O'Hare Airport upon arriving back to the U.S. from a trip to visit family in Nigeria and taken in for questioning. So when did they go on this trip? After the attack? There's another video here. You guys want to see it? You want to see it? We'll see what it is. Arrest made. We don't need to see that shit. Ola appeared on Empire in 2015, and both brothers have had minor roles on Chicago PD. Smollett follows their joint Instagram account and, according to their lawyer, sometimes goes to the gym with them, so he knows these individuals.
Heavenly bodies.
What? Oh, that must be their Instagram. Oh, what is this? Gonna get banned. These guys are jacked. Holy, yo, these guys are actually jacked. If you got beat up by these guys, oh my god, that would suck. All right, we get it. They're big. They're big guys. A lawyer for the brothers told CBS 2 that her clients could be charged on Friday. They were actually detained at customs at O'Hare Airport yesterday around 5:45 p.m. Lawyer Gloria Schmidt said they had no idea what was going on, and they've been detained since then. When they first learned about what happened to them, they were horrified. This is someone they know. This is someone they've worked with, so they don't want to see someone go through that, she continued. Schmidt confirmed to CBS 2 that the brothers were extras on Empire and went to the gym with Smollett. They were really baffled why they were people of interest, the lawyer said. They really don't understand how they even got information that linked them to the horrific crime, but they are not guilty of it. Chicago Police Anthony Guglielmi on Thursday said detectives were questioning the two individuals, but said neither of them were considered suspects at the time. According to Guglielmi, the brothers were seen on surveillance cameras in the neighborhood where the alleged incident took place. The developments come as law enforcement continues to investigate the case, which began with Smollett telling police two masked individuals shouted racist and homophobic insults at him and sprayed him with an unknown chemical substance on January 29th. The 36-year-old had also told law enforcement that the alleged assailants looped a rope around his neck and shouted, "This is MAGA country," before fleeing the scene, and apparently fleeing the country. So that's interesting. So this is like just coming out right now that these two dudes have been arrested. I should have turned the music back on, but I didn't. I'll get it back going for you guys there in a second. But yeah, it's coming up. These guys have been arrested, and that's some interesting information. Like, a lot of people say, like, they were actors on Empire and Chicago PD, I guess they said, or something. But just the fact that they're actors and they've worked with him and they know him. So maybe these aren't the guys that did it, or are these the guys that did it? They were spotted in the area apparently, but they don't understand what's going on. They don't really have any information. They don't really know what's good. it's an interesting story. I honestly don't really know what to believe at this moment in time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they arrest these people, but they arrest these guys who say that they, like, who are just getting back to the country. When did they leave the country? They didn't tell us that, but allegedly were around during the time of the incident. But they claim that they are not involved right away, clearly. And if so, it could even be like an internal thing that we have like even less knowledge about, that they actually had just like some problems with each other and they just weren't friends anymore, and they decided to, perhaps they did attack him in this way and thought that if they framed it in a manner that made it seem as though it wasn't them, that he would never believe that it was them that did it. You know, like, there's so many angles that could be played out during this whole scenario. It's interesting. I really just don't know at this point. There's lots of information, and yeah. There's one more video that I'm gonna play right now. It's a video pretty much just outlining, talking about the two suspects, these two dudes. I think it's probably from Inside Edition. This was published like 2 days ago, so obviously persons of interest found. Whatever, we're just gonna play it.
The two shadowy figures wanted for questioning in the assault of Empire actor Jussie Smollett have been tracked down by police. Through a meticulous investigation, detectives have identified the persons of interest in the area of the alleged attack, a Chicago police spokesman said. The men were located by advanced technology, interviews with the victim and witnesses, and transportation records, cops said. The two men, spotted on surveillance camera 15 minutes before the incident, have not been charged.
I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them. Never did.
The apparent break in the case came as Jussie Smollett described the attack for the first time to Good Morning America's Robin Roberts.
I fought back. They ran off. I didn't.
He says he had just left this Subway sandwich shop near his apartment in Chicago when he was confronted by two men.
I kept walking, and then I heard Empire. So I turned around and I said, "Did you just say to me?" And I see the attacker masked, and he said, "This MAGA country," punches me right in the face.
He says he struggled with the attackers in the dark underpass and at the foot of these stairs.
There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back, and then it just stopped, and they ran off. Then I looked down and I see that there's a rope around my neck, which I hadn't.
You hadn't noticed it before?
No,
You didn't
because
see?
it was so fast. You know what I'm saying? It was so fast.
This release photo shows a rope burn on Smollett's neck and a cut and bruise on his cheek. The 36-year-old actor said he wanted to correct published reports that the two men wore Make America Great Again hats.
I never said that. I didn't need to add anything like that. I don't need some...
Terrible. To answer your question there, Big Wada, 59. No, I'm not 100% sure what I believe. I am not 100% sold on the story that he's saying. I guess it's not that I'm not 100% sold on the story that he's selling. I'm not 100% sold on the narrative that he's trying to sell. You know, he may have been attacked that evening, and there clearly was something that happened. I'm just not 100% sure what the motives were behind that attack and who the assailants actually were, which is kind of disheartening, because you think that after all of this time through the investigation that the truth would be at least poking through a bit at this point. Like, everything seems to be pretty jumbled up and all over the place. It's one of those situations where it should be cut and dry, but the more information that we find about the story, the more that it seems as though it's been formulated in some way in order to fit a particular narrative. Not to say that it hasn't happened, but, and if that is the case, that mixed with the Covington story that broke out recently would be such a detrimental blow to the mainstream media that I would hope would give the average individual a kick in the pants, the same way that the 2016 elections helped a lot of people to realize the mainstream media bias and break out of that cycle and realize that the information that they're being given is not necessarily 100% truthful. Alright, guys. Well, let's see. Woo! Climbing stuff out. Good enough for me. So, I think that that's pretty much going to wrap things up for this evening. It seems as though the story is still developing. There will still be information that's coming out around it. But as for now, I'm not 100% sure what is going on. Like to be 100% honest, it's very strange. And I see you there. Thank you for that. Yeah, more questions than answers at this point. I am interested to see what the police have to say and what ends up happening and what the charges are that are laid after this entire situation is done, because it was being played out as a hate crime and as a hate crime and politically motivated. But now that it's not politically motivated, it's no longer being considered a hate crime because the individuals are black and he's black, but he was still targeted because of his sexuality, which would I'd say that would make this a hate crime. I would consider this a hate crime. Hey, buddy, thank you so much. Like I said before to everybody, if you're gonna donate in the chat, what does that say? Tyler's the man. Tyler, thank you. Tyler, that's me. No, Barry, thank you. Honestly, Barry, thank you a lot for that. If you guys are gonna donate in the chat through Super Chat, I have Streamlabs set up. There's a link in the description below. For $1, you can do text to speech. So you can type in a message and it'll play over the speakers here. So for for a lot less, you can interact with the stream, and it's fun. It's a good way to get you guys involved with what's going on here. And I don't actually get any of that money from Super Chat at this point. So Streamlabs actually allows for a way to let the donations come through, because YouTube is YouTube's YouTube. Just to let you guys know, they are not the greatest to the people who supply them with content. But it's been really fun tonight, guys. I've liked this format. I've liked the setup. I like the way that things have gone. I like having the chat here and seeing what you guys have to say real time while we're investigating different things. If there's anything that you guys would like to see in a live stream or see investigated or brought up or discussed, I have an email that you can send messages to at any time. It's the.opendebate321@gmail.com. And yeah, that's where you can send me information, ideas, or thoughts that you have if you'd just like to talk. I do have a Patreon if you'd like to help support the channel. It's Patreon/theopendebate. But the support that I get from having you guys here as viewers and interacting in the chat is honestly good enough. I really appreciate that. So I guess yeah, this was just a little thing that I wanted to try out, that I thought would be fun, and I'm probably going to be doing a lot more live streams in the near future, because I find it a good way to interact with you guys and get the community together to actually do what we're doing anyways on our own, but together. Alright, guys. Well, as for now, I'm Elder with the Open Debate. Be your own hero, kids.